Hello, I'm Joe Condon. Welcome to our program. One of the big concerns we have here in New York State is families and how families are doing in today's economy, and also with urban areas having a lot of crime. We're wondering how families are doing. And one of the organizations here in New York State and here in the Capital Region that works with families is the Northeast Parent and Child Society. And here with us today is the lady in charge of getting grants for the Northeast Parent and Child Society, Laura Alpert. Laura, nice to have you with us.
Nice to see you, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Now, for folks who are not familiar with Northeast Parent and Child Society, I know you're located in Schenectady, but you serve vast portions of New York State. Could you tell what your organization's all about?
Sure. First of all, to reinforce what you said, we do serve all the way up to Saranac Lake, out to the Syracuse area, down to the New York City area, and everywhere in between, with a very heavy presence, of course, in the Capital Region, given that our headquarters is in Schenectady. And what we do is we're a child welfare agency. We're a private nonprofit organization. We get our referrals from departments of social services, probation, family courts, school committees on special education, and a few self-referrals from families who are in need. And what we do is we strive to help people become self-sufficient.
What are the referrals that you do get?
We get referrals from children who need special education services, so they'll go to our special education school. We get many referrals from Department of Social Services for families who are deeply impoverished and they're struggling. The parents may or may not be working. There may be some serious mental health issues. The family is just quite dysfunctional and probably has been for some time by the time we see them. So we're there to help pick up the pieces and help the family become self-sufficient. And I'm not going to say it's not hard work. It's very hard work, which is why it's so critical for us to have wonderful staff. And we do have wonderful staff. Everybody from the people who work in the kitchen to maintaining our facilities to working in the IT department, human resources, or those who work directly with our kids. They all have our mission very close to their hearts, and that makes a big difference.
Now, you said you help pick up the pieces.
Yes.
How do you help do that?
Well, what we do is we look at each child and family based on where they are at the moment, and we put a lot of work into educating our partners in the departments of social services around New York State, and also the family court judges on the types of services we offer, so that they can make an appropriate referral to the right kind of service. For example, if a child is living at home and is in danger of being taken out of the home because things are just so bad, they can go to one of our family preservation programs, and it does what it sounds like it does. It helps save the family and make them self-sufficient. So clinicians will go into homes and they will try to work with parents. You know, if there's a ton of clutter, they help clean it up, and they help create a system so it doesn't get messy again. They work on budgeting, they work on planning, shopping, getting the kids to school on time, making sure the kids are doing well in school, working on homework, working on the relationship that the parents have with their children to make sure it's happier and more cooperative, which sounds pretty good to, I think, any parent out there. It's a challenge for anybody to have a happy, cooperative relationship with their child, but that is something we work on. And over time, we see that family dynamics improve, children start doing better in school, and eventually it gets to the point where that family doesn't need our services anymore, and we can go help another family.
One of the things you and I were talking about recently is that a lot of the parents, because of the way they were raised, like you were saying, you teach budgeting.
Right.
They really almost don't know how to function as adults because of their background. That's got to be a tough challenge for you folks to overcome.
Absolutely. And that's why we have such a comprehensive array of services, because sometimes it's not one set of services that's enough to help the family. We may have a family that needs help getting their GED. The parents need to get their GED. They need to do it for a couple of reasons. First of all, we have all heard the statistics about the fact that if you don't have a high school diploma, your lifetime earnings are greatly reduced, and you're probably going to wind up dependent on public assistance, at least at some point in your life. And people don't want to be dependent on public assistance necessarily. They want to be able to be self-sufficient. So those who are willing and able, they have the best chance of success by taking advantage of the resources that we provide. These resources are free to the families we serve. They're funded through county departments of social services, through county budgets. They're also funded by private funding, a lot of which is competitive, which is where I come in, trying to secure that kind of funding. So let's say that somebody needs to get a GED. They may be referred to our Career Development Center, and as you know, we have a new one that is being built and will be opened in February. So we have a very good relationship with Schenectady County Community College. They have a wonderful instructor, Mr. McDonald, who's helped well over 500 people pass the GED exams, which if you've been out of school for a long time is challenging. And he's very patient. I've sat in on the classes a few times, and he does a terrific job. So, okay, they get their GED. They can get help getting an internship, getting a job, mediating any issues that would prevent a person from being successful with a job. It could be domestic violence, housing, transportation, child care. Those are the 4 biggies. And then, you know, they may also need some mental health services for themselves and their families. They may need some help at home. Whatever it takes, we are willing to help people to be able to stand on their own, because that's our goal.
In today's society, why would one end up not getting a high school diploma? They just decide, I'm sick of school, and they leave, and then they get 5 or 10 years older and suddenly realize they goofed?
Yes, that to some degree is the case. It's sometimes more complicated than that. If you grew up in a family where nobody graduated from high school, part of the problem could be that a high school diploma is not particularly valued. Part of the problem could be that you've lived in the same town for years, and you know how, remember high school and how certain families had a bad reputation? Oh, here comes another one of the Condons. They're going to be trouble.
Okay.
You know
those Condons.
Yeah, they're terrible people. So unfortunately, sometimes a child will enter a classroom having not necessarily done a thing wrong, and already the teachers think, oh, this is a Condon, this is no good, I don't want to have this kid in the classroom. So they've got an attitude. And then being a Condon, you're hearing bad things from your own family members and your friends about, you know, this teacher hates our family, and you can see how it can escalate from there. And to start with, we have to really go back to the beginning to realize that people who have children and they're impoverished, because they don't necessarily have the educational background, they're not doing what my mom did and reading to their children. I learned to read when I was 2, Joe, because my mom's a teacher.
Okay.
And I sounded out a sign in a bank when I was 2 years old, she says, and I have no reason not to believe that. But if you don't have somebody like her at home, you have somebody who's not particularly literate, they might not be reading to you on a regular basis. You may not have great clothes. You're not really necessarily equipped for school. You might not have had daycare at all. You might not have been socialized with other children. So you're coming in and you're already behind. So you may have a history of hating school from the very first day you set foot in the school. And so after a period of years, when you really think back of how much school we've all had, it's a long time. You know, you're in school from kindergarten to 12th grade, and then maybe college, and then maybe grad school as well. That's many, many years of your life. And so for some people, and then if you maybe have a learning disability on top of it, or ADHD or ADD, some condition like that, it's hard for you to focus. You may or may not be getting the services you need. Unfortunately, with the school budgets being what they are, they're not always equipped to deal with the very highest need students. They realize this, they happily will refer those students to our school at Northeast. So, long answer to your question, but I feel strongly about this. I've seen it over the years, and I know what the sources of the problems are.